Big news in the markets right now. I mean, there's so much happening. Obviously, it being an election year, presidential election coming up. Politics aside, none of it really absolutely matters. What does matter is the response to the real estate market and what we know about the past and what happens in real estate markets over time. And what we can tell you for sure, for a fact, is that over the last however many presidential election cycles, a couple things tend to happen. One being that interest rates drop. The other thing that gas prices drop. Markets tend to bode favorably. And in the current environment we're in, you really kind of have a perfect storm, and perfect being not meaning it's perfect for the economy and perfect for what we need right now, but a perfect storm for the Fed wanting to drop these rates. Everything is pointing to that. Rates have gone up considerably than from where they were. They came up in one of the fastest cycles in a long time. And they're probably going to go down in similar fashion just based on what we have. So, without further ado, the point of this is I want to give everybody, because everybody here is interested in buying a home, correct? So, the idea here is, everyone was saying, oh, I can't find my deals because rates are too high. Anybody ever say that before or feel like rates are too high right now, so deals aren't penciling out, right? And, and then prices are too high, right? Well, the reality is okay, they've agreed that they're going to lower rates. Now what? Because what happens when rates go down? Now, especially if they go down considerably, you have all these other people that are doing the exact same thing and thinking the exact same thing in their heads as you are, which is once rates come down, then I'll be able to buy. What happens in that situation? If that happens, then everybody else is thinking the same thing, and they're all going to come into the market as well. So be careful what you wish for. I tell the people in my inner circle, in my community all the time, right? Lower rates aren't exactly the answer, because remember, everyone let me know in the chat, in 2020 and 2021, rates were the lowest they've ever been, ever, historically. So ideally, that was the perfect time to buy, was it not? Not necessarily. Why? What was the reason? Let me know in the chat, guys. What was the reason why buying in 2021 wasn't exactly all it was caked up to be? What was the problem when rates were super low? What was the problem during the pandemic? Come on, guys. Let me know in the chat. I'm curious to know. I want to know what you think. High prices, supply, prices went up, right? There was a lot of buyers in the market. What did we see? We saw, what was it? Oh, this property has 50 offers on it. 100 offers on some properties people were getting on. So again, be careful what you wish for, because you don't want all that competition either. So that's what we're going to talk about, right? We're going to talk about how to beat that competition using an unfair advantage and everything we're going to talk about here. All right, guys? How's that sound? Sound good? Everybody good to jump in? Everybody good? We'll keep it raw. We'll keep it real, as I always do. Awesome. So again, the title of this is, it doesn't matter. The title doesn't matter, let's be honest. But the thing that I titled is rate cuts, how to beat the competition. Because regardless, and we'll get into this in a second, but regardless of what happens, you want to know how to have an edge, right? You want to know how you can set yourself against the pack. Because what I do know for sure, what I do know for sure is that, number one, the Fed has all but guaranteed that cuts are coming as soon as September 8th. Okay, so here's an article from Forbes here, right? Market firmly to expect the Fed to cut interest rates on September 8th. Okay. Powell, who's, the chair of the Fed, has said that time has come for policy to adjust. The direction of travel is clear, and the timing and pace of rate cuts will depend on incoming data, evoking outlook, and the balance of risks, Powell stated. So they've pretty much predicted that rate cuts are coming, even to the point that mortgage markets are already responding to that and already starting to lower their rates as well. Now, here's the thing, okay? here's the truth about rate cuts. And ultimately here, what does it mean for you? Because at the end of the day, like we just said, rate cuts, okay, they might help your affordability, but does it really help affordability if everything in value is skyrocketing? If you're going to get a couple $100s a month off your mortgage payment, but the pricing of all the housing has gone up considerably, 10, 20, $30,000, $50,000 in some areas, that's just going to eat up that couple $100 anyway. Does everybody understand what I'm saying here? So here's the thing. The rate cuts are not going to be the answer to your problems. Okay. Even if they cut at a point, that's not going to be the case. Now, here's the truth about the rate cuts. The truth about the rate cuts, and nobody has a crystal ball. Let's be clear here. Okay. I have no idea what they're going to do, just as much as nobody else does. Okay. But what we can say for sure is that they're probably going to lower the rates. By how much? It doesn't matter. And what I mean by that is it doesn't matter because the emotional response to the cuts, because they haven't cut in however long, everyone is ready for this, right? You have buyers that are inadvertently sitting on the sidelines just because they've been told by their real estate agents and their lenders to wait or whatever. So the idea here is that the retail buyer, your average Harry and Sally home buyers who are out there, they're gonna see what's happening in the news. They're gonna see rates are cut. Their realtor is going to call them up. Rates are cut. Time to get out there. Their lender is going to start calling them up. More lenders are going to start cold calling people that are in the home buying position. And before you know it, no matter whether they cut rates by 0.1 or 2 points, all over it does. I want everybody to understand. Listen to what I'm saying right now. It does not matter. It does not matter what the number is. And also, it does not matter what it's going to do to your payment. Does everybody understand what I am saying to you right now? The rates will not solve your problem. Everyone has the same rate issues that you have. So I want to be very clear here that the rate cuts will not solve your issues. Does everybody get what I am saying? Type number 1 in the chat if you understand what I'm saying. Type 1 in the chat. Do you understand that rates will not solve your problem? Mikey just says it's going to be the same shit. Will everybody agree with? If anyone has, please, I need you to get, before I get into the tactics, guys, before I tell you how to beat the competition and how rates aren't going to be your key in, I need everybody to understand this key point. Okay? I need everybody to understand this key point. Does anyone have any questions about what I'm saying, or do you get what I'm saying? Everyone typed a 1 in the chat. It means you understand. Anybody, I want to bring everybody along for this ride. I don't want to leave anybody behind on this. Okay? Because again, as Garrett just said, rates go down, demand goes up, so do prices. The rates will not help you. And that's a good thing, because this is what's going to give us the leg up against the competition. Because if you're in my inner circle, you're in my workshops, anything like that, you've heard me talk about all the time, amateurs versus professionals. And what we do here in my community, in the house hacking community, and the real estate investment community, is real estate investors are not amateurs. They're not doing what every other retail buyer does, right? A real estate investor is not doing everything a retail buyer does. It's a very different relationship. Am I right? So the idea here is that we need to set ourselves up as professionals to go into this market. Okay. So that's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to get into the game plan. Okay. So the game plan, it's a couple steps. I don't know exactly how many I ended up doing, 4 or 5, maybe like that. So we're going to go through each step. Okay. So excuse me for a second. Let me just check something real fast. All right. Awesome. So here's the first thing that everybody can take action on today to set yourself up. Now, because again, remember, September 18th, guys, this is the date. This is the date it's all going down. Again, good, bad, or indifferent, no matter where they lower the rates, whatever the case may be, even if it's a fraction of a point, there will be a response. There will be an emotional response. It's not about the money, as we said. Okay. So the key thing is to be ahead of this game because everyone's sitting on the sidelines waiting, which is the dumbest thing you can do. The stupidest thing you can do with your time is wait. You have to be proactive. Again, amateurs versus professionals. Do professionals sit on the sidelines and wait to see what their real estate agent sends them? Let me know, yes or no in the chat. Does a professional just wait and see like what happens, or do they have a strategy and do they plan themselves to go forward with it? Right? Amateurs sit on the sidelines and see what happens, but you're not an amateur. That's why you're here. So again, the whole idea here is that you want to set up the content. You want to set up the context of what you're trying to achieve here and not the content of what you're trying to achieve. Because again, the whole idea, the content of something is just like the contents of it, right? So, we'll give a really rough example, okay? An engagement ring, okay? The content of an engagement ring. What is an engagement ring? An engagement ring is a piece of metal with a very shiny and expensive rock on it. It is a fancy rock. We've been told it's a very expensive rock by, whoever. When that's another conversation for another thing, but it's a fancy stone on a ring, okay? And that's what it is. Like let's call it what it is. Now, an engagement ring, when you propose to your significant other, or whether you're the person accepting the ring, what does that ring mean to you? What is that rock, that shiny rock with that ring around it? What does that actually mean to you? Okay? That's the difference between content and context. Does everybody understand what I'm saying here? Are you getting it? The contents of something are not really what you're aiming for, because everybody has, like, the idea here is that when you put it in a shiny box and it's valued high and it has a high valuation and it has true meaning behind what it is, it doesn't matter what's in that box. It's the meaning behind that box, which is important. And what I mean by that is you don't want to commoditize yourself in this market. So you have to start building relationships now with real estate agents, with lenders, with everybody in your arsenal, letting them know that you're a real buyer in this market and you're separating yourself from the Tom, Dick, and Harry buyers, the Harry and Sally home buyers that are just, or even the cash investors that are just out there as commodities. They don't bring any value to the relationship. They're strictly transactional. And all I can tell you is those people's days are numbered. That's not how you handle business, period. Okay. So you need to position yourself as an eager and serious and active buyer in the market. One of the easiest ways to do this is just to go to realtor.com. I talk about this strategy all the time. Go to realtor.com and just type in an area. I think we had a couple people where people were at. Pierre said he was in Tampa. We're going to go to Tampa, Florida. Okay. You go to Tampa, Florida. Okay. And you go to realtor.com. The reason you go to realtor.com is because it has the real estate agent's information there. You're going to sort out the property types that you're looking for. Everyone here wants to be a house hacker, right? So we're looking for houses and multifamily houses, right? You got 2,400 of them listed right now. You're going to go down to lowest price because you want to look for fixer uppers. Okay. And obviously these are, don't go for anything that's $5,000 or anything like that. But these foreclosure listings, everything that's listed, that's pending, you're going to go here and you're going to look for things that fit your criteria or are close to your criteria. You're going to scroll down to the bottom. You're going to see who it's listed by, Mr. Nathan Williams II. Fine gentleman right here. You're going to call Mr. Nathan Williams II and you are going to hit him up on his mobile right here. Okay. Pierre, you're going to call up Nathan Williams and you're going to tell him, hey, listen, I'm looking to buy XYZ in this market at this price point. What do you have coming your way? I'm eager to buy. I'm ready to buy. I'm a serious buyer. What do you have for me? And here's the thing, you're going to do that over and over and over and over again, because Pierre, your goal is that Pierre Laurent in Tampa, Florida, will have every agent on the hunt for him, looking and knowing that he's a serious buyer in his market. And they're going to bring you, and they're a serious agent because they have a listing. They're not just a schlum. They have a listing. They have something to offer. So you're going to go through that and you're going to do that as actively as possible. And the way you do that is you build your criteria. and you cast out as many lines as possible. This is what your Harry and Sally homebuyer don't do. They depend on their agent to do all the work for them, which I'll be honest with you, isn't shit. Agents don't do anything for you. They don't provide any value on the buy side anymore. It's just the reality. That's why all this NAR settlement stuff is happening. Different thing for a different call. But does everybody understand what I'm saying here? The context in what you're saying, Pierre, to this guy, Mr. Nathan Williams, the way that you convey yourself. Hey, I'm looking for XYZ. I'm a serious buyer. I'll send you my pre-approval. We're going to get into how the bait works for you with using renovation financing, with using the 203K, using the HomeStyle loan, because you're going to set yourself apart from other buyers and you're building those relationships, because any schmuck can just place an offer with no intent or no context behind it, right? Placing an offer by itself is content. Having a relationship with this real estate agent, knowing where they are, what they specialize in, who they do, what their wife's name is, what their kids' name are, what their dog's name is, what they like to do for fun, that's context. Can everybody type hell yeah in the chat if you know what I'm talking about? Type hell yeah if you are getting what I am telling you. Hell yeah in the chat if you get what I'm telling you. If you don't get what I'm telling you, let me know. But guys, this is a simple thing. Doesn't take anything strategic. This is simplicity, but people completely ignore this because they commoditize themselves. The content of what you're doing, just placing an offer, that's bullshit. Context of having real relationships with these real estate agents that are doing deals in your market is going to set you across from the competition. Okay? Hell yeah in the Stone Cove. Yeah. Hell yeah, brother. I wish I had 2 beers right now. I just smack them together and start pouring them all over my face. We're living out of my in-laws' house. That's why my background is my sister-in-law's old bedroom. As you guys know, I'm renovating my house, so this isn't my actual office. Anyway, thanks for being here. So that being said, build your criteria. We talk a lot about that in other trainings. It's not what it's for, but cast out as many lines as possible. As many lines meaning call up as many Nathan Williams II as you possibly can. Okay. And of course, I just X'd out my document. So let's go to my docs and let's go see where that is. Okay, cool. So we're gonna go back here. So we're still on one. We're 20 minutes in. So is everybody getting this? Cool. So again, building out your criteria is the most important part. Now, here's the other most important part. I talk about this ad nauseum in a lot of my other trainings and stuff. You know about this, guys. Here's the thing. You're not a serious buyer in the market. You can't complain about the market. You can't tell me anything about the market unless you have a pre-approval. I tell people all the time, if you're telling me that you can't find deals in your market and you don't have a pre-approval, that's like going fishing without a fishing pole. You're looking for fish in the water, but you can't get them. You know what I mean? Like, guys, would everybody agree that going fishing without a fishing pole is very ineffective? Would everybody agree here? Type 1 in the chat if you would agree that fishing without a fishing pole is not going to work. Okay. So what you need to do is you need to get pre-approved. Now, I have my lender partners. They will pre-approve you for the max amount in your market. Guys, to get pre-approved, the reality is that, yes, you need 2 years of consistent income. You need to have an idea, you have to have a decent job, all that stuff. That's not for this training about the qualifications and stuff. But if you feel like you were in some way, shape, or form ready, or you're pre-approved with a different lender that maybe isn't experienced with, we're going to get to the next section about the bait and the financing. But the idea here is that you got to get set up. So the 203kway.com/lender, go fill out the form. Takes 2 seconds. It'll connect you with one of my lender partners. Chelsea from my team usually is the liaison between my team and our lender partners. She is away at Burning Man this week. If anyone's familiar with Burning Man, it's where everyone goes in the desert and there's a big art installation and music, and it's awesome and crazy. And I wish I could be there, but she's much cooler than me. So she's out there for the week. So she will probably get back to you next week. But in the meantime, fill out that form. Go ahead, because at the end of the day, you can't have these conversations that everybody understand. You can't have good context and you can't set yourself up as an eager and serious active buyer if they ask you for a pre-approval, what you're pre-approved for, and you can't say no, and you can't say. Also, the other thing is too, is like if you're sitting on the sidelines, you don't know what you're pre-approved for, and you're worried that you don't really know where you're going to be. Well, the first step is knowing. Okay. The worst position you could be is not knowing. All right. So that brings us to the second part, which is using the best bait. And this is the unfair advantage here. This is what sets my community across from every other real estate community on the planet. Nobody else is talking about what I talk about. There's multiple reasons why. We won't get into that right now. One of the main reasons being is that the real estate agents and the lenders, they don't care about you. I want to be clear about this again. Your real estate agent and your lender, even though my lender partners, don't care about you. Now, if you work with me closely and you're, and you're a client or something like that, yeah, then they care about you. But at the end of the day, what do real estate agents and lenders care about most? What do they care about most? Do they care about your client? We're being clear, right? This is an old marketing term, okay? This is an old idea. This is an old analogy. And this is something, if you've ever read, everybody here, anyone ever read How to Win Friends and Influence People? That is one of the most important books you can ever read in your life. Mikey Mike, getting laid or getting paid, I mean, both are kind of the same. So the idea here is on like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like getting laid and getting paid are very high up there, right? Lakina says, I love that book. Guys, How to Win Friends and Influence People. If you haven't read that book, it's probably one of the most important books you can ever read in your life, because building relationships is the most important thing you can do in your life. And that goes from everything from the relationship with your family, your kids, and everything in between. One of the key components of that book is one very important thing to know in everything you do in life. Nobody cares about you. They only care about themselves. Period. And here's the secret. Okay. Religion tells us a lot of different things, that that's a bad thing and blah, 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 blah. The reality, no, that's not a bad thing. We need, yes, I only care about myself. No offense, I love every single person here. I am glad every single person is here. I am glad every single one of you, all of how many, 24 of you that have showed up for this. Okay. I appreciate that you were all here. But I'll tell you one thing. If it's between you and my kids, I'm picking my kids every time. And I would hope you do the same with you. If it was me versus someone else, that you would pick your family every time. So these lenders, these real estate agents, when it comes down to this process, when it comes down to what is going to benefit you versus them more, they're going to pick them every time. Every fucking time. Now, here's the reality. The reality is that the 203K loan and these HomeStyle and these renovation loans that are infinitely powerful products, infinitely powerful, they don't want you to use them because it gets in the way of feeding their kids. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Type of one in the chat if you get what I am saying here, and why the best bait on planet Earth, the best financing that every working person in the United States of America has access to, thankful because our government program put this together for us. Okay. They don't want to give it to you because it stands in the way, or it's an extra step between you and feeding their and them and feeding their family. I understand why they do it. Doesn't make it right, but I understand why they do it, and I can't fault them for that. And that's why my community exists. So the unfair advantage is having access to the thing that nobody else talks about. And that's having the 203K, the HomeStyle, or the Freddie Mac Home Choice, which are all the same versions of the same thing, which is renovation financing, government-backed renovation financing, which allows you to purchase up to 4-unit properties in any condition and gives you all the money to purchase plus renovate the property. It allows you to act as a cash investor, not as a cash investor. That is one of the most powerful things you can do. And in this upcoming cycle where more retail buyers pile in, you are going to be able to set yourself across because you are acting as if you have cash without cash. Does everybody get what I'm saying? You can buy the property as is in any condition. You can wrap in closing costs into these loans. Now, FHA is better with this than the Fannie Mae and the Home Choice. They allow you to wrap up to 6% versus 3%. But that being said, it gives you that ability because when you find a good deal, you can wrap in as much closing costs as you want. So again, you are coming out less out of pocket than your compatriots. Okay. Now, that's a great thing because when it's you versus the next guy, they're worrying about how much money they have to put out of pocket, and they're worried about that. Or when it's you versus the next gal, they're worried. They're looking at a house and they're worried how much money they're going to have for the down payment. Plus, it looks like there's $100,000 renovation and they don't really want to pull out of their 401k. And then, they're going to pull money from a savings that they were trying to keep for their kids' college tuition and everything like that. But they really want the house versus you are looking at the property and like, yeah, I could buy it for $20,000 and wrap all the renovation costs into it. Does that give you an edge? Yes or no? Does that give you an edge? When every other retail buyer in the market, every other average buyer in the market thinks that they need to pay for a renovation out of pocket, and you know you don't, you have that information. Does that give you the edge? Yes or no? Let me know in the chat. Come on, guys. Let me know. I need to know that you guys are getting this for me to give you this. So the whole thing here is that when you have that, when you have these things in your arsenal, it's going to make things even stronger. Garrett, huge edge, almost says yes. Able to create accessory units to increase income. This is your biggest advantage. This is the biggest advantage with all of it. If I could highlight, underline this, this is your biggest advantage. This is the other thing too, is the fact that the guidelines have changed. And we're going to get into that in a second on how that gives you another edge. The biggest advantage is that you can make effectively almost any single family home in the United States of America right now an accessory unit property with income that gives you the ability to get approved for a higher amount. And we're going to get more into the accessory units, but the fact that you can buy a 2, 3, 4 unit property with these, and or if it's not a legal 2-family, 3-family, 4-family, you can get a single family home that's set up to have an income producing unit, whether it be a mother-daughter suite or something like that. You can get that income forecasted in. So you're able to look at this property as a different investment, as a different number than Harry and Sally Homebuyer. They're looking at it and they think they have to pay a $4,000 a month mortgage payment. You're looking at it and you know you only have to pay a $2,000 a month mortgage payment because you're going to be renting it out to your cousins for $2,000 a month. Everybody get what I'm saying? Now, again, nobody knows that this is possible. All right. You no longer need to compete on 2 to 4 unit properties. Everyone here wants to be a house hacker, right? But everyone could agree that 2 to 4 unit properties are not plentiful. So when you're struggling with that, when you open up this new door, this new untapped area of financing or untapped area of like home buyers and inventory, this puts you way above everybody else. All right. So everybody get what I'm saying with using the best bait and the benefits of using a 203K loan. And again, setting it up with our lenders, we'll set you up with it, and we lend nationwide. But like the whole idea here is like you have so many things working for you in this situation that again, the rates are not. This is going to put you ahead of the game. Okay. Now here's the why does this say C? Use the best bait. Oh, this one shouldn't be highlighted. We're on the same. We're still on number 2 here, guys. We're still on using the best bait. So placing your offers in confidence, right? What I talked about earlier, content versus context. When you place your offers, you need to harp on what the benefit is to the seller. Okay. Purchasing in as-is condition, right? We're purchasing the property in as-is condition. We don't need an inspection contingency. This is all semantics here, so just bear with me, all right? Owner occupant. People think like cash buyers are the strongest buyers. If you've watched any of my other trainings, you know that a lot of people that I work with, all my clients have been getting deals, scooping up deals from cash buyers that completely shit the bed, backed out of the deal, and the seller was desperate to sell and went to one of the R buyers as a house hacker. When you're buying a fixer-upper property, you plan on house hacking it or you plan on fixing it up for yourself using one of these, renovation financing products, okay? I mean, you're a stronger buyer. You need to live here. This is a place to live for you. A cash buyer doesn't give a shit about the property. They're just using it strictly as income. They look at it strictly as profit. They have no emotional attachment to it. Now, I'm not saying you should have an emotional attachment, but you will have way more of an emotional attachment than a cash buyer does. That is an advantage. Okay. You need to portray that. Willing and able to waive appraisal. This is semantics. And I'll be very blunt here. It only works on 203Ks. It doesn't work if you're using a HomeStyle or a Fannie Mae or a Home Choice. I'm actually dealing with that right now with someone that I'm working with where they're using a HomeStyle, so they don't have that advantage. So the appraisal came back and wasn't really exactly where they needed it to be. Long and short, it is what it is. We're still gonna come up with another strategy to close it, but just understand that the fact that you're able to waive the appraisal on a 203K puts you well above everybody else. The reason being is because it's just semantics. You're not going to waive the appraisal, but the idea here is that the 203K allows you to get 110%. They'll give you a loan of 110% of the ARV of the property. So whatever that property is after you renovate it, they're going to give you 10% higher ability to loan. It's way higher than any other loan out there. Like 13% higher than any other loan out there. I don't think you should over leverage your property, but the fact that you are able to allows you to really set yourself up where an appraisal is never going to matter. So that's why I say to write that into your offer as well. And then last but not least, closing in 30 to 45 days. Again, when you follow my process that I teach you on closing on these things quickly, and you use our lenders, we can get you closed 45 days. Now, this isn't always going to be the case, but the fact of the matter is you can potentially. And if you don't, it's fine. You ask for an extension. We do it all the time. Asking for an extension is fine. All of us do it. It happens on every transaction. Don't be afraid. But again, you set yourself up in the best way possible. Again, remember, context versus content. You want to present yourself in the best way possible. Okay. How are we doing so far, guys? Everybody doing well so far? Everybody getting what I'm laying down? Any questions so far? If you have any questions, be sure to type them in the chat or in the Q&A section. And I'll be able to get to them. But good to roll into number 3. We're almost here. We got 5. We're doing pretty good. Good to roll on to number 3, everybody? Cool? Yes? No? Maybe so? Come on, guys. Let me know. Let me know. Need your participation. Your participation helps me with this. So, all right. Well, nobody's typing yes, so I'm assuming you guys are all either at work or doing something else. But Carissa, Melissa, thank you. Awesome. You guys, where some people are alive. Sean, Matt, you're on point, Matt. Love to see it. Keep going. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Sean. Good to see you, brother. Awesome. So, here's number 3. You have to familiarize yourself with the new guidelines that nobody else knows about. Okay. Now, again, we're talking about here on how we're leveraging ourselves. And like, again, the interest rates being not the factor here. The factor is knowing and having access to the things that nobody else is giving you access to except me. The biggest thing here is familiarizing yourself with the guidelines on these new changes that have happened just in the last year. Nobody's talking about them. Again, why? Because lenders and agents don't give a shit about you. Okay. They just don't give a shit about you. So the idea here is that I do, and I know how this thing works, and I've benefited from it. I've built myself into a multi-millionaire through this process. Okay. And that sounds very weird to say because I don't feel that way. And trust me, guys, when you get there, it doesn't feel any different. I'll be honest with you. But the reality is that this was the only option that got me there. Okay. The idea here is that you are going to set yourself up with these guidelines and understanding with the lenders and what you're working with and knowing all these ins and outs and these loopholes that have changed in the last couple months. The biggest one being accessory unit guidelines. So basically what happened was with the FHA and the Fannie Mae and the Freddie Mac loans, they basically came out and said, if you have a unit in the house that can act as a rental and it's up to code, or it's safely up to code and everything like that, even if it's not approved by the town, but it is up to standard, they're still going to approve you on that future rental income. Okay. So, and I'll go deeper in this in a second, in the next slot, in the next bullet. But the fact that you can buy properties with accessory dwelling units, ADUs, okay? These are accessory units that aren't separate, like it's not like a true duplex or triplex, but what it is it's another unit, it's another small livable unit that you could rent out for income. They will acknowledge, the lenders are acknowledging that. Now the towns might not. There's some risk there, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's lower risk than it's ever been because there's such a housing need, and ADU legislation is being passed across the board nationwide. But you can basically take these properties that were never conforming, never really legal in a sense, and converting all these single family homes into what we call rich man duplexes. Okay. I'm always going to shout out my boy Brad Seidel on that, because that's really what it is. If you wanted to always buy a duplex and there's no duplexes in your area, well, this is the way you do it. The rich man's duplex is you buy a single family home, you get all the benefits of a single family home with all the benefits of owning a multifamily property. Who the heck wants that? Anyone want all the benefits of a single family home while getting all the income benefits from a duplex? Let me know in the chat if you're interested in that, right? So the second thing is that you're able to take convention that Fannie Mae has now entered into the mix and now allows you to also buy up to, it used to be only reserved for FHA. Used to be that the FHA loan was the only loan product out there that allowed a first-time home buyer or an owner-occupant buyer to buy up to a 4-unit property with only 3.5% down, or a low down payment. Fannie Mae had the low down payment option, but it was only for single family. It was 3% down. Now Fannie Mae is now allowing you to buy a multifamily property, as long as you occupy one of the units, they'll allow you to buy up to a 4-unit property and only put 5% down. Now, the cool thing about Fannie Mae that's different than the FHA is FHA only allows you to have one under your name at any given time. Fannie Mae is virtually unlimited. The true limit's 11, but the reality is if you get to 11, God bless, you're going to do way bigger things before hitting that 11 mark. But the idea here is that you don't have a limitation. So now when you want to do it over and over and over again, and you have the wherewithal to do it, you're going to be able to do that. Okay. Now, this is a big one. This is a very recent change. It actually isn't even fully into effect yet. It's starting to get rolled out. The official date is like the beginning of November, but November's not far away at all. And one of the things to note here is on the 203K renovation loan. One of the cool things about the 203K loan was that because they understood that if you buy a house, then you're renovating the heck out of it, especially if it's a big renovation. They understand, just like me, because I'm not living in my house right now. They understand that you're probably not going to be able to live in the house. And you're either going to have to rent somewhere else or you're going to have to move in with family. And the whole idea is like they don't want you or expect you rather to be able to pay for 2 places to live while you are renovating this house. So what they give you the ability to do is they allow you to wrap up to the previous to now, they allowed you to wrap up to the first 6 months mortgage payments into your loan. Now it will increase your loan amount. It will increase your payment every month because you're adding more money to the loan. But imagine not having to pay out of pocket not only for the renovation, but not for the time when you're not living there when the renovation happens. Now it says up to 6 months. Obviously, it depends on the renovation scope, but they also realize that a lot of these people's renovations, myself included, ours is taking a while because we're doing a lot of renovation, mind you. They know that it might take, even in some areas, 12 months or more. So now they extended the period, not only to how long the renovation can take, but also how many mortgage payments you can wrap in. So the 203K now, if you're looking at a house and you're wondering, how you're going to be able to afford it, just know that as long as your home value adjusts for it, and we're going to talk about that in a second, because that's the important thing here. That's why the 203K way, that's why my platform's so important, because we want to make sure that we get you a good deal that makes this effective. But the idea here is if you're able to wrap the first almost first year, if you're doing a big renovation and you can wrap 12 months into that, or a big enough renovation to warrant the 12 months, man, oh man, you can basically buy a house, renovate it, not have to pay for it for a year. Who here would like to buy and completely renovate a house and besides the down payment, not have to pay for it out of pocket for a full year? Is that really cool? Guys, type, type, I don't know. Type hell yeah in the chat if you think that's really cool. If you could buy a house and not have to pay for it for a year, right? Almost said, I would love that. Omo, you're almost one of our inner circle members. So, I mean, guys, this is prime. This is ready to go. Okay. So like, this is really cool. Okay. Nobody knows about this outside of like me, a couple people in my inner circle, and Garrett, who's here. Guys, like this is game changing shit. Nobody wants to talk about it though, because they don't care about you. All right. So here's the thing, guys. The biggest takeaway with all of this, though, as I mentioned all these times, the fact that you can buy the accessory unit, build the accessory unit, wrap up to 12 months mortgage payments into the loan. This is all important on depending on finding a good deal. Okay. Because here's the thing, guys, like at the end of the day, none of this works if you're not finding a good deal. None of this works if you're not finding a good deal. And that's why it's so important that you do this. And that's why I put so much emphasis on the deal finding aspect. And that's why I put so much emphasis on number one. I talked about number one, because none of this matters unless you don't have good relationships with agents. Okay. Now, I'm going to get more into the finding a good deal part at the end. But one of the big things I want to harp on here is that the house hacking concept is really the unfair advantage here. Okay. Because without house hacking, like a lot of this stuff goes away. And ultimately what the 203K way is built on is the house hacking concept, right? That's how I was able to buy a duplex property in New York. I couldn't afford shit. The fact that it was a 2-family gave me the ability to afford something. It gave me the ability, here it is right here. For every 100 you get $100,000 of extra buying power for every $1,500 in rent that your property is able to produce through an accessory unit. Who here would like an additional $100,000 in buying power when they go to buy a house? Here's the thing. Who here would like it? Who the hell needs it? Because that's a lot of people here, myself included. In your high cost of living areas, people are like, oh, does this work in a high cost of living market? Hell yeah. That's the whole, actually, this is where this really works the best is high cost of living markets. Because again, remember what we talked about earlier, the retail buyers versus the regular Joes or versus the professionals, the regular Joes versus the professionals. They don't know this. So when they're pinching pennies to the best of their ability and they're pushing their debt to income ratios, they're pushing their affordability. If you're looking for properties that are able to produce income for you, whether you actually, here's one thing I want to be clear about too, guys. I want to be clear about that. Some people here, maybe some of you like don't want to be long-term real estate investors. Maybe some of you here are like, I don't really want a house hack. I don't want to be open to the possibility because it leverages you into it. And here's the thing. If maybe you just have to house hack for a couple years, once you're in the property, the mortgage company isn't checking if you're still house hacking and renting out that other unit. Who knows? You get in, you build some equity on the property, which is ideally what we're doing by buying a fixer upper. You build some equity, you get you maybe get some other properties under your belt. You have some income coming in from those properties. Maybe you get a promotion at your job. Maybe you start another business. Maybe you got some other money coming in and you don't need to technically rent out that property. It'd be nice, or rent out that other part of the property. Would be nice. But remember, don't get too upset, like, because that's probably people's number one objection with house hacking is like, hey, I have a family, I have kids, I get it. I'm one of those people. But like, just know that while you have the property, you can pick whoever you want to be there. You can be as selective as you want because it's your home and you can invite into your home whoever you'd like. On the flip side, too, it's a way to leverage yourself into something when everyone else is getting hit on the debt to income ratios and they're not being able to push. You're going to be able to push. Now, here's the thing. Do not over leverage yourself. Again, that's why deal finding is so important. But this gives you so much advantage, right? And again, the advantage here is being able to tap all that untapped inventory of the market that nobody else knows about. Again, when interest rates drop and all these things happen, it doesn't really matter because you're playing with a different deck of cards. You have a completely different deck of cards. No other buyers are aware of this. Okay. One of the things to look for is you look for properties. You set your alerts up. You go on realtor.com. You look for mother-daughter properties, right? Mother-daughter, split level, high ranch, right? Good thing you can look up this, right? You can look up on Zillow. You can kind of set up. We'll just go to my county over here. I always use this as an example. So you can come here and you can look for houses and multifamily houses, right? I have it for sale and apply. And guys, you could put in here, you can put in here, like mother daughter, or I just like to type in like just mother because mother, like usually see multi-level deck, right? Comac. So you could look at this property here and high ranch, blah, 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 located highly desirable area. Where's mother? Where's mother? Uh, the lower level is ideal for a possible mother-daughter, right? No, these are homes like split level homes, right? You walk in and you can kind of see here in these pictures, you walk in. Now, obviously, this is I wouldn't call it renovated. It's a little old school, but it's livable condition, right? And oh boy, yeah, that kitchen's really old school, kind of 80s vibe. But anyway, the point being is like it's a split level home. So when you walk in the house, you have the upstairs that's completely livable, and then you have also the steps down, and the steps down, look, there's a whole nother, you guys see another kitchen here? There's another kitchen downstairs, right? Another wet bar. They probably use it as a bar, but here it is, whole nother kitchen downstairs. So again, you have the ability to bid on this, but here's the thing. A lot of people know it's a mother-daughter, but what people don't know is that as a lender, the lender is able to forecast that income to help you get approved for more. So when you use some of these things, when you know you're looking for mother-daughter split level houses like that, houses that are already, these are not legal two families. They don't have to be. When you use all these things, you can put like a basement with an egress entrance, right? Separate entrance, detached garages, all these things that are already pre-set up to be able to have additional people come in and live there is again going to increase your affordability and give you another leg up and give you even more buying power than your competition. everybody get, and again, lender is the key here. I can't stress this enough. Guys, I've spent a lot of years building relationships with lenders. As you can imagine, a lot of lenders want to do business with me. There's a lot of people that I bring to them. These guys are the best. These guys that I work with, they're busy. They do a lot of work. They go really above and beyond for everybody. But man, oh man, do they crush it, and they make everything happen. And that's why it's really important, because you need a lender that's going to go to bat for you. Okay. You have yourself in this position. And last but not least on this, business 101. Okay, guys, business 101. How do you create a good business? What is a good business model? How do you provide value and not trade time for money? Working a 9 to 5 job. What's the opposite? The opposite is to be a good business is to start a business or provide some good or service or product to a customer in dire need. You don't want to have a business where you offer something that people don't really care about, right? What I mean by that is, like, you can have a business selling mud pies that you dig out of the ground. You could dig holes for a living. If you have nobody that really needs holes to dig, then it's a bad business, right? If you sell peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on the side of the road, sure, it's a business. Is it a good business? Probably not. Okay. But is being a plumber a good business? Would everybody agree that a plumber is a good business? Why is it a good business? Because man, oh man, it's happened to me. When your fucking boiler goes out or your hot water heater goes out and you got a family, you got 2 kids, and you can't take you can't take a warm shower, you bet your butt we are going to pay a lot of money to get that plumber in there to get it fixed, right? Or a tow truck. A tow truck. They could charge whatever they want. Why? Because they know you want to find a good service and customer match. Okay. And here's the reality, guys. It's the best time in history to be a landlord. Why? Why is it the best time in history to be a landlord right now? Can anybody tell me? And we could talk about like the regulation and all that stuff. Why is it the best time in history to become a landlord? Let me know in the chat. Why more than ever is it important? Why is it the best time to have property that you can rent out to people? Because, guys, there's a housing inventory shortage. Right? Why is there a housing shortage? We're short. What's the number? Like, this was back in last year, short 3.2 million houses. I think it's closer to 5 now. We're short 5 million homes. We're short 5 million residences for people to live in. Would everybody agree that people need a place to live? Would everybody agree that people need a place to live? Would everybody agree that people need a shelter more than almost anything else out there outside of food and water? Shelter is like pretty much highest on the list. Would everybody agree with that? Like, people don't need a fucking Xbox. People don't need a TV. They need a place to lay their head at night that's safe and inhabitable. So how about you not only get all the benefits of all this stuff we already talked about, but also how about you help other people in need that actually need affordable housing, and you can provide like an accessory unit. You have people out there, they maybe don't have a family, they don't need anything big or crazy or spacious. They don't need a home, but they just need a 1-bedroom apartment in a place that they can call home. These are your factory workers. These are your servers. These are your service professionals. These are people that are just starting out in life, people in their 20s, or these are people that are, are older, or widowers or whatever, right? They don't need a lot. They just need something. And the reality is the market is not providing that to them. So when you're creating these accessory units and doing all these things, you're setting people up with something they really need. Does everybody get that? This is the best time in history to be a landlord. And man, oh man, what's better than providing safe and affordable housing for people? This is one of the key things that people need, like above all else. People need love, people need money, all that stuff, but they need a safe place to lay their head at night. You're providing that to them. All right. So here's the thing, guys. At the end of the day here, we want to talk about how to completely avoid the competition. So what if we could just say here, obviously we're talking about real estate agents, all this stuff. What if we could just completely avoid the competition altogether? Who here would want to do that? Like, not even have to place offers and get multiple offers. Like, who here would want that? Anybody? All right. Because here's the thing. The reality is like, there's always going to be competition. What I tell people all the time is that, like, you do not want to be in a position where, um, you have to compete with anybody. But at the same time, you also don't want to be in a position where there's zero competition. If you're in your market and placing and buying houses is super easy right now, I have something to tell you. Your market sucks, and investing there is probably a bad idea because the chances are, if nobody else wants to live there, that it's not a good place to invest. So I tell people like, oh, so many properties are going, over asking in my market, and there's so much competition in my market. Good. Because if it was the other way around, I would say run. Does everybody get that? Do you understand what I am saying? So don't tell me my market's too competitive. No, competition is good. If you're investing, you want to be in a competitive place. You don't want to buy it and there's no appreciation. Nobody else wants to buy it from you. Okay. This is what people don't understand about like 2008 and 2009, 2010. People are like, oh, I was going to buy up a bunch of houses. No, you weren't. Nobody could do it. And if they could, nobody was selling it. And the prices were so like ridiculous and out of control, either down or up, there was no profitability there. There was no point in doing it. You were setting yourself up for disaster. The place, it was off of a free fall. You don't want to buy. Now hindsight's 2020, right? But the idea here is that what if you could avoid the competition altogether? Okay. And that's what I'm talking about here is combining off market with renovation financing. Okay. So we talked about the bait, we talked about going on market, but now I want to talk about off market quickly. Okay. I know we're coming up on the hour, but want to talk about off market quickly. Renovation financing, when you combine the bait with off market, it's a life changing immediate wealth. The house I just bought, we bought our house a year or two ago, even 2022. It's crazy. That's already 2 years almost. But we bought it in 2022. It was a house that needed a lot of work, old house, but in decent condition, but just old, very dated. It was bought it from the original owners. And we bought our house for $150,000 under value. And we did it using my sniper strategy. Okay. So if you're worried about the competition that's coming forward in the next couple months and everything like that, and you're worried what's going to happen with the MLS, just know that everybody's attacking that. But when you go off the grid and you start finding stuff that's not listed, I'll tell you, it takes a little more work. But when you have the right strategy and you know how to do it, there's nothing like it. You're never going to want to go back. You never want to buy a property on the MLS ever again. If you can choose to have to deal with competition versus zero competition and get deeper discounts, which one would you choose? You would choose the deeper discounts and the no competition every time. The problem is that people don't have a strategy, don't have a way to develop it, right? So the idea here is that my whole concept of the sniper strategy is when we get very tactical on how we find properties that we want. Now we use it through a combination of different things. The one being driving for dollars, right? Or driving for dream homes, as me and my wife called it. We just drove our neighborhood, looked for fixer-upper houses that fit our criteria and our buy box in the area that we wanted, and we sent them direct mail. And we did this, and we spent $1,800 on direct mail. You could do it yourself. I have people in my community that have done it themselves. It took a lot of time to handwrite it, but it's a little cheaper. You just basically have to pay for postage and whatever the cards and the envelopes are. There's services that do it for you automatically. You have to pay a little bit more, but either way works. But the whole idea is you put this together, you create your own list of properties that are not on the market but in condition where they look like they could possibly be sold or possibly be, older people that are living there that are looking to sell, and you send out this mail. And this works exceedingly well, and it works better than it does for investors. Why? Because you're an owner occupant. So when me and my wife bought our property, we were sending out lots of letters. We got a lot of great feedback. We got a 10% response rate, which is unheard of in the real estate investing space. And the reason we got that such high response rate is because of our story and because of what we were looking to do. And I wrote in the letter, me and my wife are looking to move out of our apartment. We're looking to live in the area. If you have any interest in selling, please call or text me. And that's all it was. Very simple. It was on greeting card envelope, handwritten, and it went through, and I had an outpouring of support. Because if it wasn't people that were looking to sell, it was people that were looking to help because they want to see a young family, or they want to see, and you don't have to be a young family. You could be single, you could be older. Just all it is just tell your story. The context, guys, again, what I'm talking about, the context of what you're saying, not the content of what you're saying. The context of it is like, hey, this is just your story. This is like, hey, I'm looking to do this XYZ. And it worked tremendously well. And now when me and my wife did this, we drove the entire neighborhood. We did all this stuff and we ended up finding the property that way. Now, I just revealed this to a couple people in my group, a couple people in my audience. But one of the things that I didn't tell anybody about was back then, I was playing with other different software and pulling lists as well. Because another way to do this is not only drive and find and build lists that way, but another way to do it is that you can build lists using technology, the other platforms. There's like PropStream, a couple other things out there. But there's a platform out there where it was kind of new, and I heard through other people in the investing world who I'm friends with about it. And basically, what this software did is it compiled all the recently sold data as far back as it can date, and then all the ownership data of all those people. And it looked at all their data from the credit companies and the car companies and the credit and like the bureaus, the credit bureaus, all that stuff. And basically, what it was able to do was it was able to see what all these people were doing prior to when they sold their house. So, like what magazines they're subscribing to, what internet searches they were making, what they were buying on their credit cards, if they sold their house, if they bought a car, all that stuff. And they found out their behavior before they were able to sell, before they sold their house. And they created this algorithm, these MIT guys and a couple other guys created this algorithm that basically goes out there and it looks at all this data and it's constantly getting new data. And what it does is it looks for patterns of homeowners and what they tend to do before they sell their house. And what this does is it does something called it's called a generative AI. But what it does is this platform that I looked into ranked likelihood of a house selling before it actually sold. And who wants to know? I actually tried this and it was very expensive back. It still is very expensive back then, but I did it anyway because I was desperate to find me and my family a house. Lo and behold, I went back a month or two later and I checked that list that I pulled and I was like, hey, I'm just curious if our house showed up on there. The house that we bought for 150,000 under asking through the mail that we found through mail. Who wants who who thinks that the AI actually found it first? The AI found it first. Okay. And I went back and sure as shit, my house was on that list. Now, I wouldn't take back away the strategy. I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket, but AI found my house for $150,000 discount before I did. And it did it using an algorithm. Now, here's one of the really cool things. One of the cool things is that a couple months back, I'm in a real estate mastermind and I was having dinner with a group of people. And these masterminds, you meet a lot of people, you go out to dinner, you don't even know who half the people are at dinner, but you introduce yourself and kind of talk about what you do and everything like that. So I was talking to this one guy when we sat down for dinner. This guy's named Don. Hey Don, what's going on? Nice to meet you. What do you do? And he said, hey, I'm the owner of RealFlow. Now, RealFlow is the company that developed this software, and they do something called lead pipes. And I told him the story. I was like, oh shit, I know lead pipes. I use this strategy and blah, 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 blah. And I told him the story and he loved it. And he also loved our community and everything about it, house hacking. We met again a couple months later, sat down, had a glass of whiskey together. He's a big whiskey guy. We talked it through. And I told him I have my community, my inner circle, and the people that I work with, and they're specialized on house hackers. And I told him that, this is a really great platform. I wish there was a way to implement it. And he said, listen, what we're able to do is my developers are able to put together a platform specifically for the people that you work with that can change things specific to your strategy and house hacking and everything like that. And we're also going to be able to implement our AI product on top of it. So that was awesome. And I was like, cool, let's see what happens with it. And that was a couple months back. Lo and behold, last week, we finally released it. It's called propertyhacker.ai. And let me see if I can log in. So, and what's really awesome about this again is that you have not only the ability to do marketing and do lean analysis, and you can get your financing through here, but you're able to do repair estimates, all that stuff. But one of the coolest things, it allows you to pull all these lists. You be able to can go off market. Okay. So I'll show you this lead pipes thing in action here. So what you can do here, and we'll go back to Tampa as an example. Tampa, Florida. Okay. And we can do this search in Tampa. Now, Tampa's going to pull out a lot of results. Now, here's the thing, guys. There's a lot of different things we could do here. I don't want to go crazy with the filters, but essentially what you could do is you could get rid of, like, you only want to look for maybe single family and all that stuff. So we can go back here, go here. And what you can do in this case is you can go and you could rank it based off of that AI number. So if you see over here, it ranks the number from 1 to 1,000 on how likely they're able to sell retail, as a rental, or as a wholesale deal in the next 30 days. So one of the cool things you could do is you can sort out your criteria, go in here, sort out your criteria of whatever you want to buy, kind of the same thing, and it pulls all off-market data as well. And you can sort it by who's likely to sell on, let's just say, retail in the next 30 days. And you can sort it by highest to lowest. So here you have 8715 Christie Court. For whatever reason, the AI is saying that it is likely to sell retail, very likely to sell retail. Miss Carly McClellan owns it, and it is likely, whatever Carly McClellan is doing right now, it is likely that she's going to sell retail. So who would like to jump at that before they actually had before it hit the MLS? You got in front of it before they did, before someone else did. That's what this allows us to do. All right. So it's a really cool tool. I'm super excited about it. And when you combine this with all the other strategies that's going on, it puts you in the premier position. Okay. So here's the thing, guys. Is anybody here interested in that and interested in the platform at all? Or interested in learning more? So, here's the thing, guys. At the end of the day, it's a combination of all these things. And this is just, yeah, Sean, I know Sean's in my inner circle, so you get access to it, right? But listen, guys, as part of this whole process, right, you're going to get access to all of this, in time and everything like that. People in my inner circle do get the first and the first crack at this. Okay. So there's a bunch of you here already. Thanks for being here. Sean's here, almost here. Melissa's here. You guys already have access to this. But I just wanted to say, if you're watching this and you're looking to buy in the next 6 to 12 months, 6 to 12 months max, and you want to skip the line and get one-on-one help to creating your customized deal finding game plan and leveraging AI in the next 30 days to do that and beat the competition, I'm inviting people to apply because it's so imminent. In the next 30 days, everything is changing with these rates. And again, like I said, good, bad, or indifferent, it's time to get after it. Now, the whole thing is you want to stack the deck in your favor to put yourself in a situation where you can do that. So if you want to skip the line, if you want to get access to the software, my inner circle members get it first. You can apply to join the 203K Way Inner Circle. We have some members here, some new members as well. If you know anything about it, we're hands-on. I'm always accessible. We're all here. And the whole thing is we're here to get you something in the next 90 days. And if you want access to the software, you want to create a customized deal finding game plan to find stuff specifically for you, you can apply here, the 203kway.com/apply. It's going to bring you to this page. Effectively, you're just going to fill out a quick form. And it's just like when you go to the doctor's office, you fill out a quick form. I just need to know a little bit more about you. I need to know what you're looking to do, what your concept is, what the strategy is, what you do for work, all that stuff. So I can really know what the best way to take this is. At the end of it, it's going to book you for a clarity call. And on that clarity call, we'll talk about, what I'm looking for as part of the community, what you're looking for. And if we decide that you'd be a fit for the inner circle, I will invite you to come on board, show you how to enroll, what that looks like, the investment for us to work together, and all that good stuff. All this stuff is going to give you access to all of that and give you the best fighting chance in this game. So yeah, it says, is the app available yet? Yes, it is. I talked about it on last night's group call. Yaz, if you want to get access to it, just go ahead and email me, Matt at the 203kway.com, and we'll set you up with your account. All right, guys. So listen, neither here nor there. I wanted to introduce that to you, but does everybody get how we're going to be able to beat the competition in 2024 with these rate cuts? Does anyone have any questions about any of this stuff before we jump? I know we're coming up on time here. Thank you, everybody, for staying, for hanging out. But does anybody have any questions about what we covered tonight, what we covered on everything here? What do we got, guys? What do we got? So I saw Paul. I don't know if Paul's still here or not, but I saw a question from Paul. Are you allowed to get an FHA if you own a house and are not moving 100 miles away? Paul, not really. If you already have an FHA, no, but you're going to be able to probably do a home style. As long as it makes sense, Paul, if you're still here, you can definitely do a home style. All right. Sean asked, do these new guidelines allow us to build an ADU if the land square foot of the property purchase is ample? Sean, yes. It just depends on the loan product you're using and your situation, but yes, it does. It does allow it. Paul said if you find a home that has two already existing detached garages, yeah, this is a perfect setup for that. One of the cheat codes with this, guys, is so what this is just a little like nuanced insight. Here's the thing, guys, like the reality of like building a brand new ADU, a lot goes into that. The unfair advantage for you guys is going after this stuff that we talked about here. The mother-daughter, the split level, the high ranches, all that stuff, the basement with egress, the separate entries, the detached garage, all that stuff, all those things that are like already kind of set up to do it, and you don't have to do as much. That's what I want you to. I want you to put yourself, because again, nobody's looking at these the way you are. You can build new, but I don't think that the juice is worth the squeeze on that. I'd rather you attack stuff that's like already halfway there, if that makes sense. All right, guys. So, I think we got a couple. Well, I'll give it up for a couple. I'll give it a couple minutes for a couple more questions. How do we access Property Hacker if we're already in the inner circle? Sean, just send me an email, man, and I'll get you set up on that, the 203K way. Com. And I'll set you up on that. Again, so just so you know, like Property Hacker by itself is about $200 a month. Deal Machines about $200 a month. Prop Streams about $100 a month. This combines all those things in one. So I was able to structure a good deal with them. And we'll talk more about that. Paul says, thank you. Any other questions, guys? Any other questions? All right. I have to go pick up my kids from my mom's. I will post this recording for you guys. Listen, the time is now. I wear it on my wrist all the time. The time is now. You can see it. The time is now. Guys, the time's always now, but it's more now than it's ever been in a long time. And that's because of all the stuff that's happening. So if you've been sitting on the sidelines and you really want to make this stuff happen, let us help you get you there. All right. And use this deck of cards to your advantage because nobody else is doing it. It's going to put you in the best possible position. If you have any interest in potentially working together, using this strategy, helping us, helping us help you, put you on the right path to get you there with a community that knows how to get you there, has proven their way to get you there. The 203kway.com/apply. Let's chat. Let's book a call. Let's jump on a call. You chat with me one-on-one. Let's see what it would look like to get you on board. We could talk next steps and go from there. But more importantly than anything, the reason I do these is for you to take away this information and execute on it. All right, guys. Melissa, thank you. Garrett, thank you that. Paul, thank you. Pierre, thank you. Guys, thank you. We'll see you on the next one. Go out there, take action. You know where to find us. Be safe. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.